Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
it's gonna be. I'm telling you. What's up? What's up? What's up, man? Another Tuesday night at 9, man. Look at the hit, man. We ain't never seen him in his who's that character from Tales from the Hood? Tales, yeah. You know
Yo,
what
I got. I'm in my Cat
Put on,
Williams, son.
man.
The Cat Williams joint when he got beat up by the 13-year-old.
Oh man, that looks crazy. So you can't get your hair no ponytail or nothing? Yeah, you don't have hair for 7 years.
Yeah, I can ponytail it.
You crazy.
You see this black and lovely? You know what I'm
Nah.
saying?
Out here looking like Eddie Kane.
You ain't got it because you ain't good.
Man, it's a good day. It's a good day, fellas. Man, Leifer, man, what you feeding yourself lately?
That's a good question, man. You know what? I've been going through a lot of different books, man. But lately, what I've been doing is I've been reading a lot of like regional cooking books, like from all over. I've been getting into this one book. It's on um it's crazy because it has recipes in it, but it's like a real book. Like, you know what I mean? The guy, I can't remember what it's called, but the guy kind of tells his journey through all through Asia and stuff, and the different things that he's learned. But yeah, it's like Thai and Chinese cooking. So I've been reading that a lot lately. I've been trying to just hone on my culinary skills. So, and I've been feeling a little stale lately. So I've been trying to like spark some inspiration. So I've been reading that through the past week or two.
What you got here? What you been feeding yourself lately?
Man, it's getting hot, man. You know, it's about the time of the year. So I've been watching How to Be a Player. You know what I mean? Trying to dust off. You know what I'm saying? Trying to dust it off. So I get ready. You know what I mean? It's about the lights is coming on. So it's about to get prime time.
You crazy.
Hey man, honestly, like I think I need to go back and rewatch our tax show because I gotta look at some tax codes. I think I messed up my taxes this year really, really bad. Yeah, I think it's gonna be ugly, man. I ain't gonna lie, I get anxiety when I think about it. So I've been trying to keep it, but yeah, I might have to go back and check that tax show out, man, because the taxes are looking real, real, real bad. So I gotta brush up on that. And then I just got hit with a safety audit from the FMCSA. So I gotta brush up. There's a lot of things like that come like regulations that we just don't know about. You know what I mean? Like they don't tell you up front. I'm kind of learning on the fly. So I had some drivers doing some things that I didn't catch. And so now they just started an investigation Monday. So I'm working on that. So uh honestly, like I'm getting ready to go back and like so you're looking at a lot of Fortune 500 companies and you kind of figure like why they have the SOPs that they have. You know what I mean? You have this to establish a structure. And so that's what I'm looking at now, man. The taxes, getting this structure going, business wise, to avoid some of the hits that I'm taking. You know what I mean? Especially from a compliance standpoint.
What you got, Mo?
Man, I've been doing a lot of college search and all that good stuff. I've been doing a lot of we trying to decide, where the daughter going, apply and all that good stuff, man. We still got a year, but we just try to be proactive. Um, and also, man, I'm actually in the process of interviewing and stuff like that too. So, so I'm back on my ish.
Wait,
And
what?
I'm up for promotion. So,
Mm,
yeah, that's all. That's all.
gotcha.
I figure if they're gonna make me come to the office 4 days a week, I might as well get paid for it. You understand me?
Yeah.
So in a real way, you know what I mean? But
About to say, not steady, Freddy.
yeah, no, but actually I did come up on something that I haven't watched yet, but man, Carlos Miller, he had mentioned it. He was just mentioning it kind of just, obviously he's a comedian, so he was mentioning it jokingly, but it's a documentary I want to check out. It's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. It's a documentary. Man, I want to check it out. It speaks about
The comedian.
yeah.
He came out with a book called what?
No, so he just mentioned a documentary. It's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick.
Oh, gotcha.
And it speaks to, kind of how everything is planned, whether it be wars and all that type of stuff. And it happened like it was through a rabbit hole, how the algorithm works. I was watching something about it was RFK's assassination, and it was Candace Owens was talking about it and how like there was a big cover up, and the person who's been in jail this whole time, I think his name's Saran. Like it's been proven that he didn't do it, but like they still ain't letting him out on parole, and like it's just wild. So that's how I kind of got hooked up into this rabbit hole. But it's something I want to take a look at real soon.
Yeah. Talk about rabbit holes, man. And I don't know if I'm supposed to feed myself this stuff, but this pyramid stuff, bro, with the conductors under it that goes about 600 meters and all the Anunnaki and all that, man. I'm down the wrong hole, man. I don't know where I'm at in the time space conundrum. You know what I'm saying? So it's been weird, but it for some reason I be stuck to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't get away from it, man. It be calling me. So other than that, man, it's how to teach an 8-year-old how to throw strikes. That's what my life consists of. Teaching kids to throw strikes, hit the ball, run plays. Oh my God, the football squad it's just a lot of kid stuff for me, man. But I guess I'm building young men. You know what I'm saying? So that's the positive for me. What you got to say, Hit?
I never imagined the suburb life would be so fulfilling, man. Like I just happy to see it. I'm just happy to see it, man. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm just happy to see it, man.
It is, I mean, it comes with its own little journey, man. Like we got our own little drama out here in the suburbs. You know, what I'm
I got
saying?
suburbs drama. What?
Oh man, it be going down.
Somebody burned the muffins.
No, man. Hey, the arguments over email, son. You know what I'm saying? Like, never have I ever used the email to argue with somebody. That's not at work.
Not you?
What you mean?
You're the email king.
I'm telling you. Oh, shut up.
That's the CC king right there.
That wasn't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's funny. No, but no, I'm arguing with the community over emails, and that's wild to me though. We live in a different time age. You know what I'm saying? We're not even face to face, and we see each other at the park like we ain't said nothing in the email. Like nothing was said. Dap each other up. Hey, you want to go get drinks after? What you doing? Like we ain't just have a whole email chain, man. But speaking of that though, tonight's show is about what was better, childhood or adulthood. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm having the time of my life, but perspective might be different according to the other guests. You know what I'm saying? So, let's get into like the dreams and aspirations. What's one of the things we go with you, Lee? What's one of the things that you seen yourself doing as a kid that when you hit adulthood that you just didn't get to, and why you think you didn't get there or didn't do it?
Hmm. I don't know. Because in my head, anything I wanted to do, I just did. But like I know in like career trajectory, like in high school, like I had always leading up to high school and in early parts of high school, I had always wanted to be an architect. So I had, been taking all these classes and building my mind and skill set around that. And literally my senior year, I think, and I might have spoke about this kind of in one of the earlier episodes, but like senior year, like that whole thing changed. Like once a chef came to the school, and you know what I mean, just blew my mind. So, that changed the whole trajectory of my life because I had seen it all going one way, in you know creating these structures and things like that, and now it's kind of changed into creating these meals and dishes from scratch. So I guess the same type of artist type mind, but just whole different trajectory as far as that. But man, like I don't know that there are too many things that I really wanted to do in my childhood that I envisioned that I haven't done or
Well,
or
was there
even
something that you
aren't
wanted
working
to do
towards.
and didn't had to let it go? Like, what's something you had to do and like, man, like, and had to let it go? And like, what point was? How did you deal with that part? Like, man, I dreamed of always doing this, and I had to let it go. And how did you handle that change?
Well, I don't know that it was like a handling type thing in in any in any regard. Like for me, it was like a pivot, but everything that I pivoted to was along the same like lines. Like it wasn't like a complete 180 shift into a different space. It was still in that kind of artistic mindset. And that's pretty much everything in life for me, man. It's always draws toward that artistic. I almost said autistic, man. Maybe that's true too. But that artistic lens, but then also that giving back piece. So I've always been like, you say sacrificial person who's like always looking out for the greater good or the best for the group rather than just myself. So I don't know, man, and maybe after everybody else starts, chiming in and giving their pieces, maybe something will come up that I'm not thinking about, but like literally everything that I've thought about doing. Um, outside of the architect thing, like I've done it. You know what I mean? So I can't think of it off the top of my head.
What you got, Mo?
So mine is very defined. For good or for better, for good, better for worse. Man, from the moment I was 6 years old, man, I was either actually it wasn't an either or, it was both. My plan was I was going to go to the league and play ball, and I was going to be a physician or a doctor. 6 years old, that was my plan. So like and I was on my path to doing that. And then like once I got to college, man, I like life start lifing. And man, I just start being a lot of roadblocks, whether it be family, whether it be financial circumstance, um, whether it be just ability. Like, man, the roads start getting a whole lot more narrow. Like, man, you're playing D2 ball. Are you really going to the league? Like, you need to start being a little bit more realistic. And then more importantly, like when it came to even from a football standpoint, man, I remember when I had to give it up. And I say had to, but I just made a choice to give it up, man. I potentially had a baby on the way, and I was like, man, I went from being a kid to, oh my God, I got to figure out life and being an adult and taking care of somebody. Well, taking care of two people, just like that. So man, and that was a very hard transition, man. Looking back on it, man, I still believe for like a year or two, man, I was depressed. I just didn't know it. I was in survival mode, but I was depressed, man. Like, yeah, I mean, like I almost felt like I gave up my dreams and aspirations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then next thing you know, I moved to Atlanta, and I had a lot of feelings of like, man, like I'm living for everybody but me. So there was a lot of regret, a lot of, like Leifer said, man, I didn't willingly like sacrifice for other people. I was like, the choice was made for me because of decisions that I made, obviously. But man, I was really in a dark place for a while. And I remember, man, folks used to come to the crib and be like, man, you all right? Like, I wasn't all right. Like, I don't think I knew it, but I wasn't all right, man. I was, obviously, man, I was doing good, man. Like I tell people all the time, man, I've been kind of having my way for a long time, but I'm like, it's been a while. It was for a while, man. Like, it was superficial. I wasn't happy. Like, I had the stuff, but I wasn't happy internally. And it took for, some soul searching and doing some stuff for me to actually finally get to that point to where, as an adult, man, I was happy and I was free, and I actually had that joy again because, I can see how people say adulting sucks, but if you're not able to do it on your own terms, that's when it sucks. And that's what happened to me, man. That it sobered me up real quick to what life can be when you're not living on your own terms.
Hey, what you got?
This remind me of what's the intro to the Fresh Prince. Like, y'all gather around. Let me tell you how my life got turned upside down.
This is the story.
You know what I'm saying? I think man, I was saying this the other day. I forgot who I was talking to. But I said, damn, my mom failed me, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, she did not put me in an advantageous position, you know what I'm saying, in life. Because I look at a lot of people sometimes and I'll be like, man, this dude's not smarter than me. This dude's not, he just had a better situation. You know what I mean? He had, you know what I mean, he was in a better position to succeed. So a lot of times, yo, it's not really, I don't think it's always up to you, you know what I mean, as the individual. Sometimes the circumstances play a big part in, you know what I mean, the success that you can have, especially as a child, you know what I mean? So like, so my circumstances wasn't the greatest, you know what I mean? And just having a young mom, I think by like, when she was like 24, she had like 4 kids at the time, you know what I'm saying? She didn't finish high school, or she got GD. So, you know what I'm saying? With all that, it's like the typical Black story, right? You know what I'm saying? You're in the projects and all that. But like, as a child, like, I was in gifted programs. Like, I was pretty sharp. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think through my circumstances, like, I made it out. Like, I wanted to be an engineer. Then I wanted to work for IBM for a while. But like, there was a lot of like good things as a child that happened. Like, I was able to be a child and do childlike things. And then I moved. I think that was the big moving to the DC, Maryland area. I think was that like the turning point, you know what I mean, in life, because that's when I realized I was ghetto. And you know what I'm saying? When I say ghetto, I mean, my perspective was crazy. Like, I used to only think real, like people who had money either sold drugs or they played sports. And like, so seeing Black people with money and like going in houses and be like, damn, I say, damn, Black, you can get money just having a regular job. Like, I didn't really realize that, because, you know what I mean? I think being ghetto is perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only think everything around you is the way life is. And that opened my perspective, you know what I'm saying, and helped me see a lot. And like, I was able to work in a shop around a lot of men, you know what I mean, that helped me understand how men move and men operate. You know what I mean? Like, and it gave me different examples of different men and different people, you know what I mean? And so you can, because you're going to take from everybody anyway and kind of build who you're going to be. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, that was like, you know what I mean? Like, I think the childhood, as far as childhood, like, there's a lot of things I wanted to be, but my circumstances, like, so like, nobody in my house never had a car. Like, we caught the bus. It was the PAC or it was the Metro, you know what I mean? So like, at a certain point, like, I was wrestling and I had like went with the guy, he was like the best in the state. And I think I was in the 10th grade when I did it. And they was like, yo, like you got potential, like you probably can go to college. Like they was like hyping me up. But the next year, I was like, yo, man, I'm tired of being broke. I'm going to work. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, man, I can't believe you know. And they was really upset with me. Like they was like, the coach stopped talking to me, everything. But I told him, I was like, yo, man, I'm trying to be fresh. I'm trying to get on the joints. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm it's cool, but I'm tired of being broke. I'm gonna get me a whip. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to live. You know what I mean? Like, and I did that. I was able to accomplish it, but I had to sacrifice something. And I look at it now, like maybe I shouldn't have. But at the time, it's my circumstance. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was just tired of being broke. You know what I mean? I was tired of waiting on the bus in the rain. You know what I'm saying? So I had to change the circumstance. So I think that sacrificed a lot, like in the long run. So, yeah, I mean, I just think like you can never like take it and granted the circle, like putting your children in a good circumstance, a good position is a lot. Yo, that give them advantage over a lot of people and a lot of things, man. That kind of helps them live out them dreams that they thinking about. Because you got to survive, you got to give up, you're gonna have to sacrifice a dream. You know what I mean? I'll catch it on the back end, but for now, I got to figure it out.
What you got, Lee?
Nah, I was just like, because when most start talking, I start thinking like, you know what, man? Um, like there was one thing like when I was coming up, man, that was in my mind. Like I had never wanted to be an old father. You know what I mean? Because when I was, my parents were young parents. You know what I mean? Like I think my mom had my sister when she was what 16, had me when she was 21, and so on and so on and so on. So, by the time they 40, you know what I mean, we was all, dang near grown, you know what I mean? So they had to pretty much empty nest. So that's kind of how I didn't want to have it that early, of course, but like, in the early 20s or whatever, you know what I mean? I was thinking, I'd, settle down, have some kids or whatever, and then by my late by my early mid 40s, man, I'd be at the empty nest. I'd be doing, doing what I want. But of course, you know what I mean? Everybody know I'm on both ends of the spectrum. I got an 18-year-old and I got a 3-year-old. So you know what I mean? Like didn't really work out that way. So you know what I mean? So I'm trying to I'm trying to keep up with my son, man, and he's like full of energy and extremely rambunctious. And I'm, of course, like I got about enough. I got about enough energy to get with him for like a couple hours, and then it's like phew, I'm on a slow decline, and he just continuing to move like a micro machine, man. But it just is what it is. But yeah, that's the one thing that I can't remember, man. That just it didn't work out the way I had thought about it, and I mean, I guess I just stopped thinking about it because it just didn't it didn't materialize, so it wasn't really at the front of my mind. But yeah, I wanted to make that correction because I'm saying like oh no, there was nothing. But no, that was definitely one. That was definitely one of the big ones, man. I never really wanted to be an old dad because of that reason. Like I knew like the older you get, the less patience you're gonna have, the more tired you're gonna be. You got so many different things you're juggling. You're not gonna have the energy you need to put into a toddler. You know what I mean? So I never really wanted to be that, but I am that. So it is what it is.
Man, for me, I don't think I gave up on any dream. I did them until I couldn't, until my feedback was like, "You're not good enough to be here. You're not good enough to chase this dream." And at that point, I had to accept it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, hey, I couldn't make it, and I got to be okay with that. So it wasn't a never. I gave up on anything. It was just more of a, you're not good enough. I still want to try. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is like, all right, you try if you want to. It's going to tell you you can't do it anyway. I'm going to try anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still in that process of trying to be the best engineer I could, or be an engineer. And the world tells me you're not good enough. And I'm like, hey, I'm still here though. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I really haven't had to give up any dream. The dream just gave up on me when it came to playing pro ball. You know what I'm saying? And even still though, like y'all know, I still play like ball at the level I can play it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll still go hoop. I'll still go play baseball, and I'll still try to play football at whatever level will accept me to play at my grand old stage. So, and I think that's one of the things that's just kept me from being depressed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like getting to a point where you're like, I can't do what I really want to do. That's depressing. Like it's like losing hope. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's hard. When you lose hope, you don't want to fight. Like if I would have been stuck in a job, like in with no aspirations to move forward, and I hated being a line coach. That probably was the worst job I hated the most. You got to be a different character to be a line. No disrespect to anybody else, but to be a line cook, you got to be a different kind of person. And I'm just not that person at all, not even remotely close. You know what I'm saying? So working that job, even hating the job, working warehouse job be kind of fun because everybody cool. The pay sucks, but it's a warehouse job. Everybody kind of, we all like kids. We act like kids anyway in warehouse jobs. But other than that, um, I never really had to give up on a dream. That like the dream just kind of kicked me out the door. Like, hey, you don't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, to move on to the next question, though, how have your friendships changed? What's the difference between your friendships, from childhood to adulthood? What you got, Mo?
So for me, man, it's actually very interesting, man. I was a person that moved around a lot. Kind of like Hit said, man, like, man, I kind of polish it, but man, I had a wild upbringing, to be fair, to be quite honest, man. I kind of moved like yearly, to be quite honest. That didn't always necessarily mean like different groups, different towns or whatever, but sometimes it did. So, and it's very interesting, man. Like, I've had, I don't know, 7 best friends. Like, that's kind of crazy to hear, but like I've had 7 best friends. Um, and it's not, and it is never because like of a fallout, and especially being of the time of when we were growing up. Like, you didn't necessarily have social media, you didn't have phones and stuff like that, so you just lose touch. But and like even to this day, like when I see them people, like it's still all love. They're like, oh, that's like my brother or whatever. Um, and so, but what I've learned to do because of that is I can compartmentalize very well. Um, like I can focus on what I'm doing, whether it's like honing in laser focused on business, but then I can also and go do the BS too. Like, like if somebody saw me that they're used to seeing me over there on the BS, they're like, man, he ain't like that. Like, like it's just one of those things, man. I can compartmentalize very well. Um, and it's just it's a very interesting thing. And it's something that I've been doing so long that I didn't even realize until one time my daughter called me out on it. She was like, yo, your code switching is impeccable. Like, what just happened? Like, who are you right now? Because I was speaking to somebody from my past and we was talking very Wilkinsburgish. And she was like, who are you? Like, my father doesn't speak like this. And I was just like, listen, I am who I am because of, what I've been through. So don't judge me. But if anything, man, I think I deserve kudos for making it to where I am because I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, but it doesn't define who I am at this point. But yeah, I've learned to kind of compartmentalize it. And even at this point in time, like when it comes to friendships, like I have different friends for different things. And that's okay. Like, and I think my life prepared me for that because I hear a lot of people struggling with that. Like they want their friends to do every part of their journey with them. But because of my upbringing, I understand that that's not likely and that's not always possible. So it's easy for me to do at this point, whereas some people, it's a little bit of a struggle at this point in our life.
What you got, Hit?
Yo, some of them dudes I won't even invite to my house, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Leave them dudes where they at, man. I think because that show you like the phases of life that you went through. You know what I mean? Like I went through, you know what I'm saying, like a certain phase where there's certain people that, you know what I mean, I probably wouldn't, we wouldn't, like we were there for that time. You know what I mean? And now like that time is moved and it's time to move. I think we talked about it on the show before, like the problem is you want to hold on. We hold on to things like naturally as human nature is to hold on to things. And sometimes things aren't always meant to be hold on. Someone it just transitions, you know what I mean? But like I had some childhood friends, some people I used to kick it with. At one point when I first moved to Atlanta, the group that I was with in Maryland, a lot of them dudes passed away. You know what I mean? Like it was like a lot of them was murdered. You know what I mean, including my cousin. So it was like I lost a lot of friends. You know what I mean, leaving there, and that kind of was like the confirmation. Like, yeah, I guess I ain't never going back. You know what I mean? I guess God moved me for a reason. I'm glad I listened. You know what I mean? Because I probably would have been there. So that part of my life. But then I said that's a transition, and then you meet people here. Like I got mechanic friends, you know what I'm saying? I got manager friends, you know what I mean? I think that's a part of diversifying your circle as you get older. You know what I mean? Realizing where you need to go for information. Like I was just working on a truck yesterday. I'm calling like all the mechanic friends, like, hey man, how do you take this off? You know what I'm saying? And there's gonna be like times where I'm at work and I'm struggling. And I'm like, hey, what's the verbiage for this? You know what I'm saying? I got friends at high level. So I think diversifying your circle. But to answer the question, I think like when it comes to friendships, I think there's there's people that you meet in life when you're on certain things. And if when you move from that in life, I think the friendship changes as well.
She got Lee.
So like Mo, you know what I mean, I moved a bit too. So, you know, I got different people in different spaces, different times, and different places. And, you know, as I think about it now, man, and I think about it a lot. Like some people who I thought was my friends growing up wasn't really my friends. You know what I mean? Like certain people was around me and in my circle for whatever reason they were in my circle, but they wasn't no friend to me. You know what I mean? And I was more of a friend to most of them than any of them were to me because they couldn't really they didn't know how to be a friend. All they knew how to do was leech. You know, they all they knew how to do was survive. So they weren't really friends. And I didn't really get it or understand it because I came up in the church. So for me, it was natural to always be that if I got it, you got it type of person. But most of the time, if they got it, they ain't letting nobody know they got it. You know what I mean? They tucking it for themselves. And it took me a long time to really realize that a lot of those folks wasn't friends. But you know what I mean? So I put people in different categories, and I don't even, and I don't know that I have a lot in those categories or no more. But you got acquaintances, you got people you could hang out with, you got friends, and then you got family, right? And so how I define those is like acquaintances might be somebody that you could just be like, oh, what up? You know what I mean? You see hi by, ain't no ill will towards them, but y'all ain't really kicking it like that. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? You just say, hey, what's up? Then you got your what I say, your acquaintances, your friends. So your friends to me would be just like, people that are, step up from the acquaintances that you might hang out with, but you don't trust with all your secrets. You know what I mean? So you ain't giving them all the keys to the kingdom. And then your family would be people like, me and Vic. Like me and Vic, we've been down by laws for extremely long time. You know what I mean? I love his kids. I love his family. He loved my family. You know what I mean? Even though my grandma wasn't really rocking with him at first because he rolled up in the refrigerator without asking permission. You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. But you know what I mean? That is just different levels to it to where, you know what I mean? Like I don't even have a lot of like people that I would consider friends. Like either you family or you an acquaintance. You know what I mean? And it's as simple as that for me. So I don't really have a lot that I rock with from the past, even in all the spaces that I moved around to. Like I'm cool with you on a if I see you, that's what's up. You know what I mean? But I'm not calling you, I'm not texting you. You ain't calling me, you ain't texting me, you ain't checking in on me, you ain't seeing that. But if we in the same space, you know what I mean, we can rock with each other. You know what I mean? But everybody else is either family or, you know what I mean? I see you when I see you. So I think that's where I'm at in my life, man. I don't even try to, you know, I realized what type of person I am. I'm always going to try to look out for what's best for everybody else. You know, I'm gonna make sure everybody good. If I got it, you got it. And I know there's a lot of people who are takers, they're not givers. So those people I just try to keep away from me. You know what I mean? And I keep my circle extremely small. You know, so I don't even rock with a lot of people from my past in that way.
Yo, I think there's a corporate actually like corporate model to what he just said. I forgot it's the order, but it's you got your comrades, constituents, and confidants. And I just that's kind of the hierarchy that they put. There's like a corporate model of like the people, like the levels of trust, you know what I mean, and the people that you deal with. So yeah, that's a good point.
I think growing up, I hung out with mainly family until I started meeting friends, and once I started meeting friends, I more so locked on to them friends and got rid of the family. You know what I'm saying? And it's just been healthier for me. Um, so like my friendships from childhood to adulthood haven't changed. Um, I think we've all met each other very, very young. And you know, I'm glad it moved to Atlanta because that's when we really were able had the opportunity to get tight, even though we were cousins from forever. Um, but it's just I don't know, man. Like I've been fortunate. I think the dilemma is um I was surrounded by retarded kids all the time, and y'all wasn't. So I didn't have
Yo,
nobody to
wait,
make friends with. I ain't had nobody to make friends with. Like, you know,
yo,
I had no
that
business
went
being
crazy.
friends with the people I went to class with. Like the people I was
Yo,
in
that
class
went crazy left. See, I was about to give you your flowers. I was gonna say, man, this is basically you being a single child. I'll take it all back, man.
with. Yeah, because
Golly.
I have being a single child, but at the same time, the people I'm in class with versus the people y'all was in class with, I had no business being friends with them. Like I couldn't be friends with the people I was in class with or with the school with. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like me and Leifer we got super tight because we had a class together, but we had swim class. The class they let me out of the cell. Like, you understand what I'm saying? We was able to build a bond because we had a class where they let me out. If it wasn't for that swim class, dog, I had no business. Like, you know what I'm saying? You understand the people I'm sitting next to all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing here? And, you know, and I came into school with them because we all rode the same bus. We walked to the same class. And then we left on that same little bus. I know where they live, house by house. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have an opportunity to meet a bunch of people. But the people I'm cool with, I've been cool with for life. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I already understand that I am a very acquired taste. So if you could rock with me, then you know what I'm saying? It just there's no reason to lead a situation because I'm just a different kind of a person. But but man, so like just to kind of transition, you know, since we talk about so much family, yo, how is like how has like your idea of family changed from childhood to adulthood, and at the same time think about how you thought about authority from childhood to adulthood? How have those relationships changed, you know what I'm saying, in those manners? What you got, Mo?
This gonna sound wild, but I'm literally internally, I'm the same dude. I'm the same dude I was at 9, 10 years old. And they say that's kind of when you
Hold on,
develop who you are.
time out. One time
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
we had a whole episode about people don't change.
Well, let me finish. You going so there was change, but at my core, I am very similar, right? So I've always questioned authority. And I always was a person that felt that family is how they make you feel, not necessarily the blood. Because I come from, kind of a mixed family, and I had, a stepfather, and his family embraced me, and that's who raised me and all that. And I felt like, man, this is family, man. They never made me sit at the other table or feel wild or why your last name ain't, or, that type of stuff, man. So I had the similar thought process of family is who loves on you, not who you were born with. And like I had that at a very early age. And as I got older, man, it just kept kind of being confirmed. Yeah, I mean, people that was my own blood, I was like, I can't trust you, or I don't feel that you have my best interests at heart. You're a taker. You know what I mean? Like I was always, a lot of times I felt like I was the human shield for people that had the same bloodline as me. Oh, well, meanwhile, people that, quote unquote, weren't necessarily blood were treating me more like what I thought ideally family should have been. And a lot of times, like all y'all talked about circumstance, man, if they so busy trying to survive, like they don't have time to protect and do all these and nurture and develop you. But at the same time, all those things it cultivated me and developed me into who I am. So as I got older and I had the ability to lean on myself and to my own convictions, it hardened me and it calloused me to be exactly who I am. Like, if I feel that you ain't, we don't vibe and you're not who need to be around me, go that way. Like, and I don't mince words. I'll be like, it don't even have to be a problem. Like, just go that way or just stay where you are. I'm gonna leave. Like, I just have a very low tolerance for BS. And I have a very, like, and I've been told this, like, I'm very cold or I come off very cold and callous, but it's because if anything, I'm more sensitive because, man, I like, if I rock with you, I really rock with you. Like, dude, if I got it, you got it. I'm never going to let you be down bad if I can help or whatever. And hell, I might even be giving advice when you didn't ask for it. Like, hey, man, I see what you're doing and I see where you're going. Hey, you might want to try this. Or you might want to think about it this way. And sometimes that could be unsolicited advice, but because I want you to win so bad, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it anyway, even at the expense of maybe being like, man, he thinks he's a know-it-all. And I'm like, that's fine. I just want you to know it all too. You know what I mean? Like, I never want to be the gatekeeper of information. I want to give it if I feel that you're, worthy of the information and you're, close enough to my circle, because I always felt I'm the average of the 5 people I'm around the most. So if you're down bad, all you're going to do is pull me down. So it might even have been a little bit selfish. Like, I don't want to get pulled down. So I want you to be at least sturdy enough to where I don't, it's not going to bring me down. But when it comes to kind of like authority, I always kind of like, and I'm not going to say I had a problem with authority. It was just that at a very young age, man, I had a very good sense of discernment. Like Leifer, man, I grew up in the church, man, so much that, like, I was like, man, I started running from it. Like, I felt like I was always there. And I was like, man, there has to be more to life than this, because I was seeing kind of duality of it. Like, hell, I remember I lived in what they used to call the Swissville projects, but I'm at church every day. You know what I mean? I'm like, these people ain't living like this. When I go home from this place, they ain't talking about no AME. You know what I mean? They talking about crack. They talking about, whatever. And I was like, man, there's a duality here. And the stuff that I'm getting here at Bible study doesn't seem to be helping me over here. So that duality always kind of played with me. And the fact where authority came in, I was just kind of like even to this day, like, I still kind of hold this to be true. Like, when it comes to, if you're not leading with logic, I can't follow you. Like, I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Give me the why. And when I'm a leader, that's why I always give people the why. Like, some people are just sheep, and like, actually most people are sheep. Like, if you have the title, they're just going to follow you off the cliff. I've never been that person. I'm like, as we get close to the cliff, I'm gonna be like, hey, are we sure this is what we're supposed to be going? You know what? All right, I'm gonna get to the back of the line. Let me see how this works out. But it's just one of those things where I've always been, I don't even want to say contrarian, but I'm just, the biggest thing is I want to think for myself, and I'd rather take the risk off my ideas, and I'll take the risk and the reward versus following somebody else's lead and taking that and taking that L, and I'm gonna be like, man, I knew better, but I did it anyway. So that's just kind of always been my belief system. And as you get older, you can have more conviction, and you can stand on it more because there's not so much authority over every aspect of your life. But as I got older, man, if anything, man, it just I kind of got to flex that a little bit more than I always was able to, because I always was like, if I feel that you're better than me at it, fine. But if not, I'm always going to challenge it. And I think that's okay. And that's something that I teach my daughter as well.
What you got, Hit?
I said what? Just listening to Mo, I can see why y'all friends. I can definitely see why y'all friends, because when he said, I'm gonna give you my opinion, whether you want it or not, I said, oh, yeah, I can see why they friends, yo. I can see it. I'm gonna tell you whether you want it or not. I'm gonna tell you what's best for you. I can see it. So yeah, it made the connection. It did not make sense now. The question. So I guess it's crazy because when we talked about friendship, and I was just sitting there thinking, really, man, all my like best friends are all family, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the cool part. Like, you talk about the longevity, everything. Like, most of my family, like, really, when we do hang out and have those, you know what I'm saying, those functions is mainly the family. So I've been blessed to have, you know what I'm saying, people around me that I, you know what I mean, call family. And then it's the family that I brought in, that I met. There's a lot of dudes, man. There's a lot of dudes I've known for like 20 something years here, man. You know what I mean? I just think about like, damn, it's been like 20 years. Been knowing these, like, I seen this dude's kids grow up, you know. So I think from that standpoint, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Just like, from the family aspect, some family where, you gotta naturally, you know what I'm saying, just go away from. But I think from that aspect. But he said, what's the other part? What was the question? It was about respect.
It was about
authority.
how do you view authority at this point? Yeah. So how do you what's your thoughts on the dynamics of family, and how do you view authority?
Man, it's crazy. Being, I guess, an authority figure at a place of employment, it does make you look at people and things different. You know what I mean? It definitely makes you look at, and the thing about it is just understand, like I just talked about earlier, like just understanding that the rules are in place for a reason. You know what I mean? So before, like when I was younger, I was definitely, you know what I'm saying, F the police type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely, you know what I'm saying? I used to always say, like, yo, I can't go to the military because I'm not listening to nobody just telling me to do whatever they're going to do. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Because I have an opinion, you know what I mean? And I feel like my opinion is going to be valid, right? So I definitely can see it different now, just understanding that things are in place for a reason. Like, structure is necessary. You know what I mean? And when you see people go outside of that repeatedly, and then you see the outcome, then you start understanding, like, damn, that's the reason why they say look both ways before you cross the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? There's a reason why for that. So I do look at authority a lot different, because there's different types of authority. You know what I mean? Like, there's some authority that you understand where there's agendas with the authority. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? There's ulterior motives with authority. But then you look at it as far as like structure. And as the older you get, you realize how important structure is for longevity. You know what I mean? For accomplishing the goals that we talked about. Like, you got to have some type of structure. So like in that aspect, I think a viewpoint of authority has changed, yo. You know what I mean? And I'll just add this real quick. Like, I'm being honest, like the workforce, the people is changing. Like, the younger generation, they have no, and I don't know if we failed as parents. I don't know where this shit come from, but they have like, they don't understand like authority at all. And any resistance you give them, it breaks them. You know what I mean? Like yeah, like you can. So if you give, like, you stand on whatever you talk, like you stand on it and be like, hey, look, this is what it is. Like, they crumble. They can't take anything. Like, it's the craziest thing in the world. And I don't know if we missed something or we didn't give them authority coming up, and now when it happens, they don't know how to handle it. I'm not sure, but that's just, you know what I mean, just a caveat to that.
That's an interesting take. What you got, Lee?
So let me get on what Hit said, and then I'll get into my thing. What one thing I think is the cause of the root cause of what you're talking about is because a lot of people in our age group and the right before said, you know what? I don't want to raise my kids how my parents raised me. So they raised a lot of these kids in this way to where they had like I mean, even think about my grandma when we were coming up, man. But it was no, you didn't have no opinion. You wasn't nothing you was saying. She told you what to do, and that was it. This is what I'm cooking. If you don't want to eat it, you're gonna starve. Parents nowadays are catering to their goddamn kids. They're letting them. Oh well, my parents didn't let me do this, so I'm gonna let my kids do that. Oh, my parents didn't give me this, so I'm gonna give my kids that. Yes, it's your fault. It is your fault. It is our fault. It is the generation before us fault for saying I'm not going to raise my kids the way my parents raised me. Now there needs to be some changes. There needs to be some adjustments. However, oftentimes what happens is that full 180. And when you do that full 180, then it takes away a lot of the accountability, and people don't really want to deal with that. Now, so the dynamics of family and how I view authority. Um, like anybody who knows that like I am a family man. Like I've always been about family. Like, and my wife, she laughs at me because because like I would say, like my cousins are my friends. Like I have a ton of cousins, so they're like all my friends. We grew up together, hanging out at my grandma's house. You know, what I mean, I don't know if we got dropped off at my grandma's house or we all just ended up over my grandma's house at the same time by happenstance. But we were all there most of the time together, and there was a gang of us. We all played together. We went to church together. We everything together. So my cousins and my family were my literally my first friends growing up. And then I think as you get older, you kind of grow in different ways sometimes. And, some family becomes less like family, and then some friends become more like family. And there's that blend in there. So I think like how I think about family now is like I'm still big on family. Like my family is probably my number one priority. Like I always try to maintain a great relationship with my family and try to keep them close. But if you don't treat me like family, then I don't treat you like family. It's as simple as that. And I X you out. You know what I mean? It ain't got nothing to do. It could be one person and the rest of your family I'm cool with. But you're over here. And you know what I mean? And then like I said, I got friends that are also in that family category. And it's not a blood thing, but you know what I mean? The way that we treat each other, the way that we respect each other, the way that we are protective over each other, it's definitely a family type feeling that I like. And I mean, authority, I think I'm kind of like Mo in that sense where, I always question everything, man. You know what I mean? And that I and like Hit, I almost went to the Marines, and you know what I mean. I went to take the ASVAB test and everything. I went through the whole process up at the base and everything, and I ended up not going because uh, that type of blind loyalty, allegiance, following it just I can't like I would have ended up being court-martialed like quick because I'm questioning authority. If you're telling me to go over here and do something that I just don't agree with, like that's difficult for me to just blindly follow you because of something that you have the answers to, but you won't give those answers to me. You know what I mean? For the greater good of the mission. The heck with that. You know what I mean? So for me, I always question authority, um, because I have a brain, and it's okay to think for yourself. I think, and I think some people often don't have. I'm not gonna say they don't have a brain, but they don't have strategy. They don't have a plan. They don't have a way, and that's why a lot of people go to the military. It's because they just need something to follow because they have nothing, and that's never been me. So that's one thing. That's one thing. I always question authority because authority should be able to give you an answer. And if authority can't give you an answer or they won't give you an answer, then they're not worth following. You know what I mean? There is no blind loyalty. There is no, oh, do this because I told you to. First of all, my parents are over here. You know what I mean? So it ain't none of that going on. So if I ask you a question about why we're doing something and you have a plan and you're supposed to be leading us, then you should also have an answer to give me. And if you're not willing to give me that answer, then I'm not willing to go with you wherever you're going. So I've always questioned authority, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I do and I will always. Now, at the end of the day, there might be some situation where I still have to do it anyway, but I'm going to question first. I'm going to ask the questions of what's going on and why I'm doing this, and then, you know, let the chips fall where they may.
Man, I think we all have that same kind of question authority. I know I definitely hated authority growing up. I mean, I just seen it as a negative, and us growing up where we grew up, man, like authority wasn't kind to us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like suburban life in the 90s, although we heard birds chirping and there was no gunshots, it was still full of harassment. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what y'all doing? Get away from the store, or you know what I'm saying? It was full of tons of harassment. So, and then like always being misunderstood from authority was always a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? So I never really could enjoyed authority, just because they never took the time to understand who or what you truly was, or thinking, or you know what I mean. It was always a assumption that you were up to something negative. You know what I'm saying? So compared to how I view it now, I kind of still carry that same thing. It's not that I hate authority, but I know that authority is thinking negative of me. So let me just go ahead and convince otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So like if I get pulled over or something like that, I already have like my license at the window. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go ahead and erase any kind of ideas or thoughts you have of what might be going on. Or on top of that, I've learned how to play a little game. I know I'm not the one for playing games, but appeasing to the authority, like, hey, no, I'm happy go lucky. You understand what I'm saying? So even if I'm not, you know what I mean, because it's about the bottom line for me, right? And the bottom line is I'm going home, or the bottom line is I'm getting paid. The bottom line is, am I getting what I want? You know what I'm saying? Do I need this question answered, or we about to eat? You understand what I'm saying? So it becomes a thing where that question ain't as important as it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? It's really the bottom line that's important. And if I can get to the bottom line, and all I got to do is, oh no, good, we good, sir. Man, I think I'll go I'll go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I got mouths to feed and I got other business to attend to. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about pride at this point. I mean, maybe when I was younger, it was more about speaking my piece and my pride and holding my ground. But I'm going home, and I love, and this is this is the second part to it, right? I've created the family I've always wanted. You understand what I'm saying? So anything keeping me away from that is a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll do anything I need to do to get to the family I've created and I enjoy and I love. The dynamic here is and between us is absolutely phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't imagine it any other way. You know what I mean? So I mean, it kind of goes into man. I got a few other questions. I don't want to jump too ahead. You know what I mean? But just to kind of go into like what's the difference between, like, do you feel you have more freedom now that you're an adult, or do you feel like do you feel you got more freedom as an adult? How do versus childhood? What you got, Mo?
So this is funny. Because I feel I had a lot of freedom as a kid. probably too much, to be honest. I just feel I have more, which you should as an adult. I have enough freedom as I need, but I feel I have more discipline to do with that freedom. I feel as a kid, man, I was really abusing that freedom. God take care of fools and babies, because I know I was taken care of, because I've done some really stupid stuff with that freedom. And I came out on the other side to live another day and see it through. So if anything, like now at this point with my freedom, I'm like very risk adverse. So people that knew me back then would be like, really? Like, but I just feel like I've cheated death too many times to be just playing with it at this point. And to be fairly, kind of like Vic was saying, like, I don't know if maybe I didn't feel like I had a lot to lose when I was younger. So I took a lot more risk. And so, at this point, man, like, I feel like I almost don't want to take no risk, man. I don't want to, dent my life at all, man. I almost feel like I'm like living flawlessly. Like I remember, like, right before I stopped playing ball, I told somebody, I was like, man, I don't gotta be rich. I just want to be comfortable. I'm more than comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm okay with that. So I don't want to mess up my comfort for anything frivolous. So in the way of freedom, I'm sure there's some things I could do with some freedom, but I choose not to, because I don't want to mess up the life that I created for myself and the life that I curated for my family. So, I'll say I'm less free than I was as a kid, but I'm smarter with the freedom that I do have.
What you got, Hit?
I definitely I think the freedoms as a child, even as like like late teens, I don't think I think it's a false notion, because you really don't have, what I'm saying, the resources in order to be free and do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And be who you want to be. The resources are limited at that point. You're just practicing, you're just taking the freedom that you have, that you're given. You know what I mean? And it looks like it's in abundance, because you don't really know nothing different. You know what I'm saying? You think, like, you know what I mean? I would say, I hate to say it like that, but your right now your expectations are low, because, you know what I mean, you're just happy to be out. You know what I'm saying? You're just happy to be there. You know what I mean? You're okay with being there. Even though you get there, you really can't do much when you get there, but you're there. You know what I mean? You're gonna make it the best out of the situation. I think just as an adult, or especially at this age, when, I mean, everything's coming to fruition, and all the investments you made, I mean, the time that you put into your craft or whatever is paying off. You're opening up to certain doors. You know what I mean? Certain doors are opening that allows that freedom to say, hey, listen, do I want to do this? I can do this. Or like, or when I do get to that situation where I used to get there, now everything is open to me. You know what I mean? I got way more choices. I can do more. I remember like I was like, I think like 18, and I had got like in some issue, and it was like, look, you can pay the fine, or you could do the 30 days. I was like, well, how much is the fine? It's like 15. I said, 1,500? Shit, I'll do them 30 days. You can give me the 30. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I'll sit it down. But now look at my life now, I wouldn't do 30 minutes. I'd be like, yo, how much is that fine? Yeah, let me go ahead and take care of that. Let me take care of that right now, because I ain't doing a day up in here. You know what I'm saying? And that just show you like the difference, right? Like in how you were thinking then, because you had freedom, right? Like that was a freedom you could do. But now you understand, like that 10, 30 days is a setback. There's so much more I can do. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more that can be accomplished. So I mean, I think this age, man, but I say this though, if you can still do that at this age, then you failed, buddy. It's over. Like if you can sit, huh?
Interesting
If your
concept.
mentality is that you can sit down for 30 days, you can sit it out for 30 days and it doesn't have an impact, yeah, you probably made some bad decisions, dog. It's probably over with for you. You know what I mean?
or maybe or not. But so we play Spider-Man Monopoly, right? And one household rule I have is when you're in jail, you cannot get paid off of any of your properties. You know what I'm saying? Normally people like, yeah, that's a rule I have. Cause it always made me feel weird. Like, okay, see, people can sit in jail for their 3 terms and people land on their property, but they're not paying nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Because they're sitting in jail. So like I have a rule where you can't get paid as long as
That
you're
ain't
in
real
jail.
life, man. You cheating them kids, man. That ain't life.
No, but it brings up an interesting point, and it goes to like what Hit was saying. Like when they don't have no property, they'll sit and roll their dice. You know what I'm saying? But when they got property, they pay. They be like, oh, I'm paying to get out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead. Because
Look, so
I
that's
got
interesting. Y'all
boardwalk.
said
So
that.
let me. You know what I'm saying?
So that's interesting. Y'all said that because I actually saw the total opposite when y'all said that. Because I was thinking along that wavelength, but as Hit was kind of talking, and I was like, is that freedom? Like the fact that you have more stuff and you like, if anything, I'm starting to see that as maybe golden handcuffs in some way. Like I'm not as free and I'm not as willing to take those risks because I don't want to lose these things. So that was something that I thought about as you were talking, because I was thinking about like, oh, I'm freer now because I can do whatever I want, I can travel. But like if I go and do something too bad, like it can all be taken away from me. And I value that more than kind of just the freedom that I had as a kid when I didn't really care what happened to me. So that literally that resonated with me when you were talking. I was like, am I as free because maybe these things and all this wealth or whatever that I've accumulated keeps me from doing stuff that maybe my primal self would want to do, but I don't do it because I don't want to lose what I've accumulated.
I think
So
that's the great area because you could keep going and get to a point where you can do a whole bunch of more stuff. You can speed, you can buy a Lamborghini and speed, and it don't bother you because you can just pay the fine and you're gonna keep speeding because you want to do so. That's a level of freedom too. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you're just barely getting, you know what I'm saying, making car payments, or you're able to have a nice house and your house poor, there's the golden handcuffs. You understand what I'm saying? But if you got more than enough to be like, I'll just pay the fine. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just levels of what I guess life is all about. What level of freedom do you want to work to achieve?
Facts. Yeah, I think like when he said the golden handcuffs, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like I think there's different levels. I think the handcuffs. I think that is probably where your freedom's taken away. You know what I mean? But I think when you think about like the different aspect of, you know what I mean, of gaining and acquiring like things, but it's not just like material. I'm talking about like life experiences, and you know what I mean. I don't want to miss that practice. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to miss that game either. You know what I mean? So it's not just like material stuff. You know what I mean? It's life. You know what I mean? Quality of life that you built. You know what I mean? You don't want to miss out on them things either.
What you got, Lee?
I feel like I feel like I had more freedom in my childhood, and I say that because the freedom wasn't on me. You know what I mean? My parents provided that freedom. You know, so so I was I didn't have more freedom per se than y'all. Y'all had a level of freedom that I had never had growing up. Like when I say I was in the church, I'm talking 7 days a week. 7 days a week. If I asked my dad to do anything, the answer was no. So the freedom I had, I stole. I snuck. You know what I mean? Like I would sneak anytime I had the chance. And that is what it is. But the freedom that I did have was the freedom to not ever worry about anything. I never had to worry about my next meal. I never had to worry about the lights being on. I never had to worry about, feeling unsafe. Like I had uncles and cousins surrounding every area of my life, everywhere, almost in every surrounding neighborhood, every neighboring neighborhood you could think of. I had family in, so I moved around with such impunity that there was a level of freedom that I felt growing up that it was just crazy. And I think now I provide the freedom for my children. You know what I mean? So I have to, there's things that I might want to do in my head, or things I might want to, places I might want to go, or things that I might want to say in certain situations that I'll forego. Uh, you know, because I'm like, okay, this might harm their chances of something, or this might hurt them in some way. So, you know what I mean? For me, I'll just be like, you know what? I'll go ahead and swallow my pride on this one. Or I won't do this, or I won't do that. So I feel like now I have less freedom because now I have to think about others. Where back then I was just thinking about me. I didn't have to worry about nobody else. My parents did all the worrying for me. You know what I mean? Did all the praying for me. And I did what the hell I wanted to do. Now I'm the one who has to do all the praying, have the worrying, and all the thinking, and all the maneuvering, and all the paying, and paving the way for my children so that they have uh so that they can move the needle further than I was able to move it. So, you know, that's why I say for me, childhood was a lot better and I had way more freedom then because I just did what I wanted to do. I made the decisions I wanted to make. And now when I make decisions, I have people that I have to think about. You know what I mean? Like I have people who are looking up to me and relying on me to make the right decisions and make the next move my best move. So, you know what I mean? So in that way, I feel like I'm more handcuffed because there's shit that I want to do. And I'm like, that ain't the right move. You know what I mean? That's young man. That ain't grown man. So I gotta take a step back and I gotta think more about what my actions and who my actions affect. So in that way, I feel like I'm more handcuffed than I was when I was younger. When I was younger, man, I might be out at the bar, at the club. Somebody say something to one of my homies. They step to him, man. He swing. I'm swinging next, and we right in the midst of it. Now I'm like, yo, we going home. Let's go. You know, back then I didn't care. It was like I give my homie my wallet. I say, bail me out tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I'm right in the thick of things. I'm not in that no more. Now I might not even go. I might just be like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna stay at home tonight because I know what
You,
it could be if I go out there.
you know
Yo,
what's
is
crazy
that
though?
maturity, or is that maturity, or is freedom? It sounds like that's maturity.
Well, I think that's maturity, but I'm saying I had more freedom when I was a kid than now. Right now it's maturity, but I'm saying that it's a lack of freedom because I'm choosing to be mature and I'm not choosing to make decisions that I want to make. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. There's a dichotomy between the young me and the old me because the young me had somebody else paying for my freedom. Now I have to pay for my kids' freedom.
I think that's a huge difference. And while we're saying, or to get into the final question, right? Is what's better, adulthood or childhood? Just to throw it out there, so we could just all just keep talking. But um, I'm doing adulthood way better than the people above me provided the freedom for myself. Where I'm not only providing massive freedom for me. Yes, we had plenty. We didn't have any supervision, right? So yes, we could go outside and do what we want. You know what I mean? And I used to look at you and be like, "Yo, you can't come home at 3 o'clock in the morning." He's like, "No, where can we do that at?" I'm like, "Well, just come crash at my house." Like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, I thought it was cool, but we see what happened. But even still, though, it was still a level of freedom that I was under the perception that I had, and I'm still doing a way better job of providing myself and my family with more freedoms than I was ever blessed with. You know what I'm saying? Because freedom is, yes, going where we want, buying what we want when we want to buy it. I don't have to ask nobody, hey, what are we eating? You know what I'm saying? Somebody said I had too much money because I ate whatever I had a taste for. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it was like I never thought about it like that. But growing up, you didn't eat what you had a taste for. You ate what you could. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm like, I feel like let me get a Reuben a day, and then tomorrow I'll be like, you know what, man, I did see that trout. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, I want some crab legs. Like, and it's just really, I could eat what I want. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's the level of freedom because when you're in prison, they feed you slop. You can't, you know what I mean? That going to jail is wild. You won't eat for days. Like, you know what I'm saying? And to see people eat in jail, like you're eating that, you're crazy. Like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's coming from freedom. Eventually you're gonna be eating the slop too, but that's here nor there. But I'm just doing adulthood way better than I've ever imagined. And babies and fools. And at this point, I'm definitely on the foolish part where God provides and takes care of me well and above anything I've imagined. And maybe my freedom is just from God and how what I mean, and those decisions from following Him. But at the same time, childhood was an absolute. It wasn't a bust, but there was no freedom in it because there was a lot of struggle in it. And yes, is although we could go outside and maneuver, we wasn't making good decisions when we was out there maneuvering. You know what I mean? It was really survival mode and no supervision. It's kind of like the stray dog. You know what I'm saying? Just dumpster diving. We was free enough to go dig into somebody else's trash. You know what I'm saying? And get the scraps. But is that truly freedom, or would you want to sit in the restaurant, somebody serving you with the candles lit? You know what I'm saying? Hey, would you like more salsa water? Like, you understand what I'm saying? So there's two different freedoms. What you got, Mo?
So I got mixed feelings about kind of how it was worded. Here's what I won't do. I'm not going to judge anybody before me because they were just doing the best they could with their circumstance. So I'm not going to judge anybody. And I'm not going to grade how I'm doing in comparison to them because I stand on the shoulders of those people. So I won't do that. But what I will say is that ultimately, I feel that because of how I grew up, I have a sense of gratitude and I'm very thankful for where I am now. I'll put it that way. I'm not gonna say better or worse, just different. I remember having cousins who kind of lived the life that I live now when when we were growing up, and I used to always be like it was so weird. Like they would come back to Pittsburgh and be like, how do y'all live like this? And I would be like, how do y'all live like that? Like it's like y'all lived in a museum. Y'all weren't allowed to do nothing. Y'all weren't allowed to go anywhere. And they were like, y'all are living like stray dogs. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just one of those things. It's just not better or worse. It's just different. But with that being said, man, I'm thankful for those experiences. I'm thankful for those relationships. I'm thankful for seeing the good and the bad because at this point, man, it allows me to be grateful and it allows me to have perspective and it allows me to give my daughter that balance. Like I remember I had, you always had rich auntie. I had a rich aunt that she would come back, even though she was like a big dog at her job and making all kind of money. She would come back and kick it into projects. Like that's white cookie. And you'd be like, white cookie? Like what? Like they would really be in like her kids, like kind of the same way, like my daughter said to me, like, yo, your coach, which is amazing. Like I just saw you get an award for 40 under 40, but then you back here in the projects kicking it, talking stories about which I used to do back in the day. So I enjoy being able to give that balance and not forgetting where I came from and not being grateful for the blessings that I have and the blessings that I'm able to give out. So like I said, man, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to grade, but just thankful for everything that I've gone through and happy with where I landed.
Yo, adulthood is way better. Like it's way better. And it's not even that. Like you can break it down in sections. Like if you look at the maturation, it gets better and better and better. You know what I'm saying? Like I think like I just can't even lie to you. Like I can speak for, like I said, you think about as you're younger, like the struggle. You know what I mean? And I guess the struggle gets it's lesson and lesson because you you start you start understanding the wins, right? And you understand too sometimes in losing that you win. You know what I mean? And losing friends and you know what I'm saying? And losing people that don't mean you no good, you know what I mean? And losing situations. Like sometimes like it's better just to let it go. Like you young, you think you went to fight for everything. I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna win. Hey, he gonna understand how I feel. And then you get older and be like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? You can have it. Somebody go do something else. You know what I'm saying? I just think like you look at it like from your teens to your 20s and then to your 30s and then to your 40s, like it gets better and better and better. But I think that also comes from the work that you put in the childhood. Like your the result of your life is going to be the things that you picked up and that you apply in childhood. You know what I mean? It starts there, and then you go through these different levels until you ascend to what you know what I mean wanted to be. Like so, we all talked about like nobody really was what they wanted to be, but they still became something. You know what I mean? And so like you went through all those different schools, you know what I mean, in these different levels, and you know what I mean, you created what you thought, you know what I mean, or what you went into the fire and became the phoenix, you know what I mean, so to speak. So like I just think, like I said, man, like it's I think it's still all interconnected. It's all one life, you know what I mean? Like it's still all one life, and what you did then is going to play the part in how it's going to be in the end, like how it is now. You know what I mean? They all, but yo, I would tell people, man, make that investment early. You know what I mean? Early on, learn your skill, do what you do, and mature and take those lessons. And I mean, because it's never a loss if you learn from it. You know what I mean? So take those L's early, and it's going. You know what I mean? Your losses are going to make you successful.
You want to close us out, Lee?
Yeah, in general relief or fashion, man, I disagree with all you niggas. But I don't know, I'm probably gonna get some hate in the chat, but whatever. I love y'all. Um, what I'll say is, man, my adulthood has been amazing, man. I've done pretty much everything I've ever wanted to do. If I said I wanted to go there, I went there. If I said I wanted to do this, I did that. And so I don't have any gripes on any of that, but I like, and still, I'm still creating new paths and charting new paths and exploring new things. But there's something to be said to not having everything fall on you. You know what I mean? And not having to have the answer for everything all the time. And in childhood, for me at least, it was the one time in my life, and not even just a young child, you know what I mean? Maybe a teenager, whatever. Like I didn't have, like, I could just make my mind up, today I'm gonna do this. And I don't care what nobody else says or what nobody else does. I'm gonna do what I want to do and whatever. And I didn't really have to worry about the repercussions. I didn't have to worry about, the backlash or who it was gonna affect. I Maybe I should have worried about that, but I didn't at all. Like I was completely selfish in that way, and I think now I'm not in a space to be selfish or in a mindset to be selfish. So for me back then, it was just like I was in a space where I could just live life, and I didn't have to worry about the decisions that I made. And now I have to worry about the decisions that I make because they affect other people, and their survival and their well-being hinges on the decisions that I make. And I think with that, there's not only pressure that comes with that, there's responsibility and there's a duty. And I don't know if responsibility and duty make for a better life. You know what I mean? For me, it was just like what makes for a better life is like just being able to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. I made any decision. If I want to party, if I want to go out, if I want to get in trouble, if I wanted to break somebody's window, whatever I wanted to do, I went out and did. And to me, at that point in time in my life, it was just better because I didn't have to, I guess I didn't have to answer for my own mistakes. And now I do. Not only have to answer for my mistakes, I have to answer for everybody else in my circle's mistakes. So, for me back then, it just felt better. I may be better in life right now than I was then, but to me back then it just felt better because I didn't have to really I didn't have to get a lot of the negative results of my actions. You know what I mean? Like, so I still would contend that back then was a little bit better than now, even though my life is amazing and I love my life. I wouldn't trade it for anything, just in case my wife watches this later. Um, I wouldn't
Not
trade my
free.
life for
That's not
anything.
freedom.
That's not
That's
freedom.
not freedom.
Give us
I
free.
love it. I love
Give
it.
us free.
But yeah, man, when I was like, I can't trade it for them because like I said, man, it was just a different level of freedom. It was a different type of freedom where I didn't really, you know what I mean? I didn't worry about none of that. I just did what I wanted to do.
So let
And
me
like
ask
you
you,
said, I could do 30 days in jail and it not mean nothing. Nick, 30 seconds right now would ruin me.
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Lee. So I guess like if you're talking about freedoms and like you building your own prisons, so like we got a thing like in management, right? Where they say like, are you building co-pilots or passengers, right? So if everything is falling on you, is that coming from the type of leadership that you display? You know what I mean? Like, are you developing co-pilots or you just got passengers?
Well, that's a good question. I like that question. But for me, regardless of whether I have a co-pilot or not, there's still a pilot. So the only way the co-pilot comes in is if you die. Like that's the only way the co-pilot comes in to pilot the ship is if you die. And I'm not my goal is to make sure that you can pilot it after I'm gone. But until I'm gone, this ship is run by me. So there's still that same level of whatever that wasn't there. It was all about me. And now I have a squad that I have to be over. And that's just the difference. You know what I mean? It's not worse, it's not bad. It's just different because now I'm thinking about other people that are under me or in my section. Whereas before I didn't have to think about nobody else. Or if I did, I only thought about people that I wanted to think about. You know what I mean? I didn't. There was no responsibility angle to it. It was just okay. Well, here I'll give you a little bit of something, and you know what I mean. That should help you out. It wasn't a responsibility of mine. It wasn't a duty of mine. This is my duty. This is my responsibility. This is what I have to do. So it's just different. So yeah, there's somebody to take the reins if I die, but I ain't planning on dying no time soon. So
But
this is
again,
on
I
me.
think he had made a very good suggestion, right? Like, or good point where the CEO is not worried about the day to day duties of the developer. You know what I'm saying, or of whatever job is whatever. Like the CEO is doing what CEOs do. You know what I'm saying? So you should. You're the developer in the company's role shouldn't have nothing to do with you or if they're productive, if they're not. It might affect, but hiring and firing that person, there's still levels of management in between you and them where you shouldn't be having to thinking about this. And if you got to think about this, then maybe you need to either reteach or replace.
That
But
sounds
this,
good,
yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying. It sounds good. That's
And in a
business.
business, it
But
sounds good in
yeah,
a
but
business situation, but in your household, there's places where you're going to have to be everywhere, and that's just the
Yeah, but
reality of the
but you
situation.
shouldn't have to make. I don't. So I was saying it shouldn't all fall on you for every decision. Like it should be. So like you want to train anybody, like even like my son, right? I'm training him to see it how I see it. So when I'm not around, I know I'm still there. Like the decision is going to be made, you know what I mean, based off of how he sees it, and how I showed him to see it. So he knows, like, all right, yeah, if my dad was here, he would do it like this. So let me go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? Like if if you go and have a situation, like you're gonna think about it. Like, so like that's taking me having to tell him to do every little thing. You know what I'm saying? Because now I've showed him how I want, like, the expectation set, and he has an understanding like how it's supposed to look or how it's supposed to be, and he can gain from that. So that's what I said, like, if you're just constantly making all the decisions and you're not looping nobody, and I ain't saying like how you want to do it, but that would put unneeded stress because you're not developing. You're just kind of you're just like, okay, go do that. Instead of saying like, all right, look, this is why I'm telling you to do it like this. You know what I mean? And in that way, I know, you know what I mean, like that they're still going to see it like I'm seeing it. You know what I mean?
Is it me or the hits fro just changed to Frederick Douglass?
No,
I thought the same thing, yo.
Y'all remember that black dude that was on the news channel, but that found that girl in Cleveland that was in the basement. He had that big old fro dead giveaway. That hidden fro turned, it just started slicking back.
Man said Frederick Douglass.
Yeah,
As he kept talking, my man just got smarter and smarter, turning into Frederick Douglass. I said, "Hold on, man, is the wisdom coming out? Is that the wisdom piece
hey,
right
man,
there?"
free my people, son. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to abolish the slave mentality, man. It's still prevalent. Still prevalent.
My man hit me, the abolitionist.
Oh man, that was a terrific show, fellas. But I told you we would go buckle for a long one. I like to keep y'all for an hour, but But no, yeah, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything in the world, man. And the freedoms we had, we've earned ourselves at this point in life. The fact that we could literally make a phone call and be like, make this happen, make that happen. When we were younger, it was more of I wish we could have a TV show. I wish I could do this. I wish. Now it's I know somebody that could do that. Let me call him. And you'll have it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll tell you one funny thing, right? It's something like this trivial as this. Like, I'm not even drinking certain liquors no more. I'll be like, what is that? Oh no, I'm not drinking that. I'm sorry. You know what I'm
saying? Like, you a long way from Thunderbird, huh?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What is that? What's Absolute? Oh no, I don't drink. No, that's all right. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like, that show you like that's growth, man.
Southern lime juice, please.
Yeah, so it's a certain freedoms, man.
Oh yeah, so hey man, that's a prototype dad, man. And we out. Peace.